I would say domestic violence calls usually are the most dangerous for officers to respond to because they don't know what the situation they're getting into.
That was Captain Jimmy Patton of the Madison County Sheriff's Department, describing the difficulties of dealing with domestic violence cases. This makes the high volume of these cases an issue. Per the Georgia Commission on Family Violence, Madison County was in the 90th percentile of family violence cases per capita in Georgia, with between 4 and 9,000 people per 100,000 having had family violence incidents. Incidences like these can often be associated with mental health. An independent mental health specialist has stated that the areas people live can affect the way they deal with mental health.
In rural areas, usually where there may be less education or, just different socioeconomic factors, there's much more stigma to mental health. So it's less talked about. It's more taboo. It's shunned. There's less getting help for it.
MentalHealth.org supports this claim, as they've said there are strong ties between low educational outcomes and high levels of mental health issues. However, Madison County will continue to try to limit the number of these cases.
A lot of the domestics are because of alcohol or drug abuse issues often, so trying to curb that or deal with that, get information out to the public, hey, that helps a little bit, bringing down the rate of domestic violence cases.
Great news source, I'm Eddie Neubert.
I don't believe that was the first time he brought it. I think he was looking for some clout and he showed another student, and that student was smart enough to say, oh, this is a problem.
Disappointed was the word used by the Barrow County Sheriff regarding the incident that occurred at Appalachia High School on Wednesday, January 8th, in which a student brought a firearm onto the premises, allegedly without the intent to use. This previous Monday, students would do their work from home as new metal detectors were being placed inside Appalachia High.
It will check anything metal. It can be set to just check for weapons, firearms. It can also be turned up to check for knives and vapes. So any of that, if anything metal can be checked.
Whether or not these metal detectors are used inside of all schools in the Barrow County area is yet to be seen. However, it could be useful given these recent circumstances. Where do you guys think we should see these metal detectors used next? The Georgia Commission on Family Violence has shown Madison County as a domestic violence hotspot. Stephanie Higdon believes she is one of very few private practitioners inside of Madison County. Her high number of clients keep her busy.
I have a waiting list till, at least May.
However, there are other resources to reach out to when dealing with domestic violence, one being One Love, a nonprofit organization with the goal of ending relationship abuse.
Because a big problem with intimate partner violence and kind of abuse in friendships and family relationships is a lot of people just don't know what they're looking at.
Shedding light on relationship abuse is important. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1 out of 4 people with a serious mental illness have been arrested at some point in their life, and 2 in 5 adults in prison have a mental illness currently.
I think we've all had moments where we see a friend or even in our relationship and we're like, oh, that's wrong. Like, you guys have a toxic relationship.
More on this story as it continues. Grady News Source, I'm Eddie Neubert. Domestic violence is a very hard topic, but how does it affect the people who see and deal with it every day? For that, I asked Project SAFE. Project SAFE is a nonprofit organization dedicated to ending domestic violence. I spoke with Tiara McRae about her difficulties.
Just trying to walk them through the different emotions and kind of letting them know that even though things hasn't been okay, that they're okay, it's going to be okay, because it may not seem like it's going to be okay.
The chief magistrate judge in Madison County agreed with the difficulties, stating that the victims often blame themselves.
3/4 of the time, the victim feels like it's their fault.
While working with domestic violence is a tough field, it does have its pros.
What really makes me get up and be happy to do this is when I do see people come out on the other side. It takes a while to get there, but when you can meet people at their lowest and then see them eventually be able to thrive.
Grady News Source, I'm Eddie Neubert. A neurological ailment known as zombie deer disease has been discovered for the first time inside of Georgia in Lanier County. This disease could pose to be a problem for hunters, but it is unknown how big of an impact it will have at this point. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources says that the next step is to figure out how far it has spread and what % of deer are affected. The director of the Southeastern Cooperative Wildlife Disease Study, Mark Ruder, says you should not eat this tainted deer meat.
The risk based on, advice from public health experts, including the CDC and World Health Organization, state that the the risk is low, but it's not zero.
Hunters should remain wary, as a local hunting store owner has deemed that it is likely to spread fast.
I do know that they're concentrating these deer around feeders, so if one's got it and feeding with the rest of them, odds are it's going to spread pretty quick.
Grady News Source, I'm Eddie Neubert.